You were actually looking at the economic livelihoods of kids. How were they surviving, and what could they tell through photography? Um, what were some of their stories?
So we were doing the photo project was actually up in the mountains, which thankfully was not hit or destroyed. So they're still there. And
When did you find out that the Project Einstein kids were still there?
well, I didn't know for sure until the day when I got the email from Kyle. But I was less worried about them because I knew that the mountains weren't as hit. So when you're worried about everybody else, I was like, I think they're probably fine. Thankfully, because again, we had met these wonderful. We stayed at a convent, and there were these two nuns that were just like these incredible people. And Kyle is a Fletcher student that his parents have been working there through their church for over 15 years, and so they've almost made it like a second home. So everybody in this town knows Kyle. They like love him, and they work at this church, and they actually funded a radio station for the church, and they had said that they felt that the radio station had really saved a lot of people's lives because before then, with hurricanes and stuff like that, nobody ever knew anything beforehand. Just kind of, doesn't work for earthquakes because amazingly we still can't predict them by 1 second. But still pretty neat. They've done all these great things for this community. So when Kyle said, my friends wanted to do a photo project with you, people like lined up at the door. And we can, and the first night we got there late, but they stayed and waited for us, and we met with them on this balcony. There's no electricity, and we showed them the example pictures with these professional photographers, and really got them talking, and they were actually really engaged. So first we asked if anybody had taken a picture, and most people had never taken a picture, which is, I guess part of the cool part of the project. And so then we were just like showing them pictures of, the one picture of Nelson Mandela, like staring at the window, like, what do you see? Do you know who this is? And most of them didn't, but then when we told them, they're like, oh yeah, Nelson Mandela. And then, what kind of emotions was he feeling? And we really talked about, they really opened up and got really engaged in the conversation, which was, I was a little bit surprised. I thought they'd be a little more kind of like, what are you doing? I don't get it. So that was it for the first night. And then the second night we went and we talked a lot more. And then we split up into teams and we talked about money. And we asked them to come up with themes. And the 4 themes that they came up with were this seems like years ago after there was just an earthquake. It's so funny. It seems so long ago. I knew this so well 3 days ago. But so their themes were, does money make you better than other people? The second one was, do you have to have money to live? The third one was the uses of money. And the fourth one was like the consequences of not having money. So they came up with these different themes. I think my favorite one was, because it was the less obvious one, was like, does money make you better than other people? I thought that was a really interesting take on it. They all seemed, I think this is getting a little ahead of myself, but when I was thinking, I was taking my own little field notes that night, kind of thinking, what's not there? It's one of the classic qualitative research questions, like, what do you, and they all seem like they really have this grasp on, like, money isn't everything, and you kind of think that maybe you ask 19-year-old kids, what does money mean to you? It means going to the States and buying an iPhone, right? None of them said that. None of them said it means that I would get a nice car. None of them said, I just wish I had a better cell phone, or like, I don't, like, they didn't talk about even like what money could buy me, which was like, I would have thought was a perfectly acceptable theme, right? But then, so they went out and they took these pictures and they came back and we asked them about each one, and they took pictures of like some really broad things that we would have never have been even knowing about or um, taken pictures of, obviously, because we don't have the same access.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them one of the most striking ones to me was a picture of it was just of a child, and they were just kind of hypothesizing, but they said they felt like this child was probably a recevec, which in Haiti is a term for a child that is comes from a really poor family, and a wealthier family takes them in. And the deal is that they get educated. This exists in other societies, but the deal is that they get educated and fed. But in reality, a lot of times they actually are just treated as slaves. So this little child that they took a picture of had a really heavy jug of water, and they said, we think that there's bigger children at home that can carry the water, but they're sending the rest back instead. And then, they're like, just the fact that the family has money really make them better than this child that she has to do, like, their hard labor for them. And I found out later, like, again, because they had highlighted this problem, I found out later there's an estimated 250,000 Westbacks in Haiti when I looked into it. Like an extremely marginalized population. And then they took pictures of it again, like the one that said the theme was, do you have to have money to live? And they just went out and they took pictures of all the different ways that people make money, like pleasant and unpleasant. Just to say, like, look what people do, like, look at the sacrifices they make because you have to have money to eat. And they went to the market and they just took pictures of, like, kind of entrepreneurial, people that are into, like, micro enterprise would love these pictures because it's kind of like, here's the woman that collected the fish. Like, she's starting her little fish business, even though it's, like, miserable to have to go all the way to, the sea and have salted fish. And these people are selling vegetables in the market because you have to buy food to feed your kids, and then they get the money, and then they have more money. And so just really kind of mapping out almost like the little economy that happens in this place. Like, here are the guys that make money by driving the motor taxis, the motorcycle taxis. So really giving them a picture of all the different strategies, because Guatemala doesn't really have much of anything to offer because all the agriculture is gone again, because all the agriculture is gone in most of the country. So how do people, find other ways to feed themselves? And there are all the, like lots of different images about that. And one group took a picture of a building, and Josh was trying to do the translation, even though he's not completely fluent in French and he doesn't know Creole, but they knew French. So, and he said this is where the women that work at the women of the cafe work was the direct translation in French. And he was like, I don't understand. What does that mean? And they kind of looked around. And they were like, like the prostitutes, people who sleep with men for money. And they were just this recognition of, like, money makes people do horrible things, like this need for it. And I just thought that it was, I don't know that if people asked me to do a photo project about money, I would go out and find the worst things I could find. But that seemed to be a lot of what they found was, like, really what happens when you don't have any money at all and how horrible that can be. And so we really had this really great photo project that's now gone. Maybe not, but as far as we know, it's not coming back. And so I guess that, really back to the earthquake, as we said, the interesting thing is that even though they were okay, they're going to get this influx of people from the capital, and they have nothing to handle it. Nobody's making money in the first place. They're all scrapping by on these little industries selling dried fish. Like, they don't have anything. And we talked to the nuns, and they're talking about they're trying to, maybe they have mangoes, and like mangoes are worth money, but they don't have any electricity. They don't have electricity to refrigerate anything. So, and then since the roads are bad, they can't transport them. So even though mangoes are actually like a hot commodity in the world market, like you can make money off of mangoes, they just lie on the ground there. They just drop to the ground, and there's too many of them, and there's nothing you can do with them. So there's some people looking at mango juice factories, and like, people really trying to like come up with some creative, like, what, maybe we can make a juice factory, like maybe, but what it came down to over and over and over again was